jam 6 decades of tunes in your ears or wherever else you may want it. Take good deep. Whatever you're doing, stop it right now! We're playing what we want, from the Eagles to Prince, Nirvana, Van Halen, Beastie Boys, Tom Petty, Linkin Park, Journey, or Pearl Jam.
Okay, well, good morning everyone. Welcome back to my channel. And we can hear Scarlett bellowing in the background. I think she's in heat again. But we'll deal with that later. Today we're going to burn this wood pile right here. It's kind of big. It should be dry enough. Some of the logs are a little big. Don't know if they'll burn today. We'll find that out. If not, we'll just set them off to the side. You can see that I already burned them once before. So if they don't burn, we'll just set them off the side and we'll burn them later. But this is what our project is going to be today. And then I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about GMO and non-GMOs. Some people are really confused about the difference, whether it's safe for you or not. Go through all that to see if it's relatively safe for you or if it's safe for you or not. A lot of debate, it's still in its early stages, hard to tell. But we're going to go through that and then you can make up your own decision. Okay, see you in a bit. Well, welcome back everyone. This is a couple of days after we did the burn. As you can tell, the wood pile is gone. So I was going to do a video about GMO with the wood, with the burn pile burning, but I couldn't quite do it because the wind was picking up and I had to pay attention to what the wind was doing because I didn't want to burn my hay field. As you can see, there's a hay field right there. And I didn't want to burn it because I've done that before. I've burned a hay field like about 3-4 acres. And it is pretty impressive when you see the county sheriff walking towards you through smoke. It's pretty cool. But I didn't want to do that. So I had to pay attention to what I was doing right here. So this is, like I said, it's a couple of days later. And so the wood pile got burned. Basically it's all gone. And I was just doing some landscaping, moving the dirt around. And I can't quite do a couple of piles. There's a pile right here. And there's a pile right here, a little mound right there. Well, I can't quite do that because the ground is still frozen. I don't know what it is. It's around the end of March. And it's still frozen, so I can't move the dirt. So I gotta wait a few days. Hopefully it'll thaw. They're talking a little bit of rain. So the rain will bring out the frost and everything. But anyway, so we're going to talk about GMO and non-GMO. Don't know if I will quite clarify everything, but I hopefully will engage some comments and commentary and everything else. Because if I get something wrong, I want to know if it's wrong and I want to be corrected by that. Like I said, your negative feedback is greatly appreciated, so if I do get this wrong, please let me know. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And like I said, please leave your comments because your comments are greatly appreciated. Okay, let's go. I am practicing social distancing. If you can see this, we'll just spin you around. Try to go slow. But there's basically nobody around me. Okay, so let's talk about GMO and non-GMO. First of all, GMO stands for genetic modified organism, or a genetically modified organism. And of course, non means that it is not. Yeah, we can hear the chickens in the background. So, and GMO is a term that is commonly used to describe crops through a breeding process in a lab. That's basically the definition. And the scientific term is, it's either called transgenesis or transgenic. That's what they call it. And it all started right around the 1990s. In 1994, they developed a tomato called Flavor Saver, and that was started marketed in 1994. So basically, our data for genetically modified organisms, or GMO, is basically only 3 decades old. So we don't have a whole lot of information yet. Take DNA strands that are cultured in a bacteria and inserted into a host plant. They also use kind of like a virus to put it in there. And that's why, because of bacteria and virus, that's why some people think that it's bad. And there was a survey a couple of years ago. They surveyed people from 10 countries. And they surveyed about 10,000 people. And half of them don't think that GMOs have long-term health However, 70% of those people still avoid buying them, and 60% of those people think that they should be banned. So there's a little bit of a conflict. And also 90% of scientists or the scientific community say that it's safe. So there's a lot of disparity going on. So basically a GMO is breeding in a lab. Plants have been modified for thousands of years naturally, which is what they call non-GMO. And when you do it in the lab, you can take certain traits, whether it be for flavor, protein, yield, drought resistant, insect resistant. There's all kinds of ways to do it. So they take the DNA from certain plants and they insert it into another one. So they know right away what they're getting. When you do traditional non-GMO, you basically have thousands of test plots or hundreds of test plots. And that's what a lot of these seed companies did in the past. They had so many test plots, it was unbelievable. But when you do the test plot and you cross-pollinate them, you don't exactly know what you're getting. Whereas when you do it in a lab, you know exactly what you are getting. You know exactly that it's going to be resistant to drought. You know exactly that it's going to be resistant to certain insects. You know it. But when you do it traditionally, it's basically a crapshoot. You really don't know, and it takes a very, very long time to do it. And some of the critics with GMO, they're vocal, and they have every right to be. It's their choice. They have every right to voice their opinion, and they call it unnatural or frankenfood. And it's kind of hard to dispute, or it's kind of hard to say anything against that, because that is their belief, and they have that right to do it. And the types of GMOs nowadays are basically alfalfa, apples, granola, corn, cotton, papaya, potatoes, soybeans, sugar beets, squash, and even zucchini. So it's not a whole lot. I think there's a few others, but I'm not quite sure. So it's not a whole lot of food that's being genetically modified. However, the ones that I just kind of mentioned, they basically represent 90% of all the GMOs that are out there. Basically taking a certain trait and inserting it into the plant. That's basically what it is. And Europe has banned, or has not banned, GMOs. However, there are certain countries that have different guidelines and regulations about GMOs. So each one of them is different, but the European Union has not banned all GMOs, just to let you know. So there are some concerns about GMO. Like I said, they call it unnatural or frankenfood. And scientists say that what they're doing with the GMOs, they say that it will not happen in the natural world, or they say it never would happen in the natural world. I don't quite believe that, because never is a very long time, and I don't really believe in never. So, because if you look at through the thousands of years that have gone by, there's been some cross-pollination with certain plants, certain varieties, certain breeds, and all of a sudden, voila, this is what we have. So to say that it would never happen might be a little bit of a stretch, but that's what the scientists say. But who knows? The other thing that is a concern is that GMOs eventually will all be the same. And what I mean by that is they might all be like drought resistant, they all might have a certain flavor, they all might have, resistant to insecticide, and there's many other things that they could all be. So there's a fear that they could all be the same. And some of them even have fear is that they might take away certain flavors and we all would be just experiencing a certain flavor. And that's the fear, and that's one of the reasons why some people are against it. And that's perfectly understandable, because in the dairy industry, they did research. The American Breeding Service, ABS, did some research, and they found out that every dairy cow can be traced back to 2 bulls from the 1950s. And that's all through, you know, the genetics and everything. So basically, almost all dairy cows nowadays are inbred. That's what they're saying. And if you look through the data and look through the research, it's tough to dispute that. So the fear is that all of these GMOs will be basically inbred, and we're not going to have any variety. We're not going to have anything. Basically, we're going to have scientists that tell us what we're going to like, what we're going to eat, and that's it. So that's a problem, because if you're like me, you don't like somebody telling you that this is the way it's going to be, regardless. And we don't have any control of that, because the scientists in the labs, they're making the decision, and we are not. So that is a concern. And now they have a new technology that's coming out. It's called CRISPR, CRISPR, no E. And what that is doing, that's going to try to mimic what is happening in the natural world. It's a relatively new technology. You'll have to do your research on that. And we'll see how it goes. But it is promising if it can mimic what happens in the natural world. And you have to applaud the people that are doing this, because then they are trying to not have it all the same. So that is very, very good. And the other thing I want to tell you about, throughout the world, there are what we call seed banks or seed vaults. So what these banks and vaults are is they have all the seeds that basically have been around the world, or that exist today, and they continue to do research. There's thousands of them, and some of them are private, some of them are government controlled, whatever it may be. And they do research, and one of the reasons why they did that, besides doing the research on them, is so that if there was ever a major catastrophe, almost like what's happening right now, but more of like a natural catastrophe, like a meteor come down or a nuclear holocaust, that these seeds can be planted to help feed the remaining people that still are alive. The only problem is with that is that someone has to be alive to tell us where these seed banks and seed vaults are, so that we can replenish them. If there's no one around to tell us where they are, well, then we're almost screwed. But and there's even been Native American tribes that have donated their seed to these vaults and banks, and that's huge, because basically with the Native Americans, yes, there's some cross-pollination, you know, they've done their crossbreeding, whatever, but it's more of a natural way to do it. So let's review. Okay, so basically a GMO is a plant that has been modified in the laboratory. A non-GMO has not been. A non-GMO has basically been it's been modified in more or less a natural setting. So if you have multiple test plots, which is the way that they used to do it, they used to have many test plots, and they'd cross-pollinate them, and they would hope for the best. So that's basically what a non-GMO is. A GMO is modified in a laboratory, able to take a gene or a certain trait from the plant and insert it into another. So that is what a non-GMO is. So I don't know if this helped clarify anything for you guys, or maybe it made it more confusing. Don't know. It is up to you to decide if it's bad or if it's good for you. I am not going to make that decision for you. It is going to have to be yours. It's kind of like being non-organic and organic. It's basically a choice, and it's your decision. The data is only 30 years old. Not a whole lot of time to figure out if it's bad for you or what you will believe in, because that's basically what it is. It's a belief. So because like I said, the science is just not really there to really give you a good reference point. So but anyway, so thank you everyone. I don't know if you guys can see this, but we got some geese over there and a few ducks. Just enjoying nature. And isn't that what it's all about nowadays? Since we're all supposed to be more or less quarantined, stay at home, shelter in place, whatever it's phrased, doesn't matter. But we all have to be safe. No matter what your circumstances is, it's up to you. So thank you everyone. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope that I stirred some debate. That's really what I'm hoping for. And if I got anything wrong, please let me know. Like I said, negative feedback is appreciated, much appreciated. So please, if I got something wrong, lay it on me. And if you have to do it hard, so be it. I've got broad enough shoulders, I can handle it. So thank you everyone. Have a good day.